Everyone, and welcome back. Welcome to episode 5 of So Now You're a Teacher. I'm your host, Liesl McConchy, international expert on brain-based learning, author, teacher, and mother of 3, who actually had the fleeting thought today that maybe we should use this time to potty train our 2-year-old. No, what was I thinking? We've been talking about stress and how we can minimize our stress and how important that is during this time. Why would I want to potty train a 2-year-old? Bring on the diapers. Hey, in this episode, we're starting a 3-episode series here on the importance of physical activity and the brain. The 3 topics we're going to cover. The first one today is the role of physical activity on stress regulation. And then our next episode, we're going to talk about how physical activity improves cognition or learning. And then finally, we'll jump into how physical activity improves behavior, just any kind of behavior challenges that you might be having with all of your kids being stuck at home, cooped up. I don't know about you, but we're seeing it, we're feeling it, and so we're on this journey with you. We can do this, guys. So let's jump right in and talk about how we can use physical activity to help us de-stress during this time. Now, my hope in sharing all this information with you is not only that we can build like the dream learning environment for our kids given the current circumstances, but also just to inform us as a community of parents and educators. There's a lot of educators around here watching, so that as we go back to school, we're never going back to the schools that we left, in my opinion. Schools are going to change. They're going to be different. Like, I just can't imagine how this experience isn't going to change us in so many different facets, including our education system. So I'm really excited to share this information with the greater community so that when we rebuild our schools and any modifications that we make, that we can do so purposefully and intentionally based on research and not just because that's how things have always been done in education. So let's get right to it. Physical activity. Oh man. Talk about a soapbox for me. So the relationship between stress and exercise, it's not as simple as exercise reduces stress. That's actually not true at all. In fact, exercise introduces stress into your system. I mean, think about the last time you worked out so hard that your muscles were sore. That was you intentionally stressing your body to build muscle or to get whatever kind of emotional regulation that you get from exercising. So physical activity introduces short-term stress on the brain, but it's the healthy stress. Remember back from episode 1, we talked about healthy stress, acute stress, and then chronic stress. So we're talking about the healthy stress right now. Short-term healthy stress, that's good. And these consistent exercise routines that we're hoping to establish as a family and in our schools, what it does is it builds resilience in your stress response system so that you can handle stress better when it comes from an outside source. So it's kind of like a flu shot. Now that I think of it, like we intentionally put a flu shot in our body so that we can build resilience and, okay, I'm not a doctor, but whatever it does so that we can better handle the flu if it ever comes our way. That's what we're doing. We're intentionally stressing our body by doing physical activity so that when outside stressors come that are out of our control, that are highly irrelevant, so stress levels are sky high, we have more stress resilience in our system to handle those situations. That's why daily physical exercise is an important lifestyle habit when things are good and when things are crazy. So, in fact, exercise, when you really dig into the research, like the medical research and the scientific research on these things, and that's what I do. When you dig into the research on exercise, there is profound research that shows that regular exercise is just as good, if not better, than antidepressants in treating depression. Like, that's incredible. That just by doing some physical activity, we can manage our emotional state that well. So let's get on it. So not only does it help us build our stress response system, but when we exercise, dopamine, which is a really famous neurotransmitter. We might talk about him or her more later, but dopamine is released into the system, and dopamine is highly related to our motivation system as well. So as a bonus, if you're struggling getting your kid to be motivated to do some of their schoolwork or some of their chores, doing some physical activity is going to help release more dopamine into their brains, which will help motivate them to continue to do whatever needs to be done. Now, we could go into more about the health benefits of exercise. Exercise, a sedentary lifestyle, is one of the top 10 risk factors of all disease. It's the new smoking. Perhaps you've heard people say that. Sitting is the new smoking. So how do we do this with our families when we're quarantined? Well, I invite you to think outside the box. Think outside. Instead of thinking like, okay, what did we do? What are the kids doing at school when they're in PE? They're running laps and they're running the mile. That's not going to work, because that's not highly relevant. It's not exciting. Maybe your kids are running laps and you're having success with that. I don't think I can pull that off in my family. So you have more options available to you in your own home with your own family than a PE teacher does. One, liability issues, and two, you just have different resources. So in our family, we're doing family runs, we're doing family walks, we're doing some regular yoga routines. Set up a competition between your teenagers. How many XYZ can they do in a day, whether it's like pull-ups or push-ups? We're doing relay races through our house several times a day when it's been raining. Run up and down the stairs in your house or in your apartment complex. Just don't touch the railings. Put on one of those YouTube videos, whether it's Cosmic Kids Yoda or Noodle, all those ones that are out there that people are shouting out about. They're all great. Get your kids moving. Put them on their bikes. My kids are riding their bikes all the time these days, and it's great. You don't have to make them run the mile. They can walk their dog and just make it a real fast walk. So that's what's really important right now when it comes to physical exercise and stress regulation. Make it happen. In our next episode, we're going to talk about when in your day it's most valuable to happen to get the most benefit of this physical exercise. You might be surprised. So that's what's coming up next and how it relates to learning. But until then, take a deep breath. We got this, guys. Oxygen's good for the brain. Hang in there.